Hey MGTOWs, this is this is Vengeance. Just got home from work. Cut myself a nutrient-dense salad from my garden, made with compost, which I made last year. So I know there's no Roundup or other nastiness in it. And this, I mean, I often joke that when I'm eating something particularly unwholesome, I always joke it's a nutrient dense superfood. Especially McDonald's or something, when one of the mechanics scrapes the bottom of the barrel and decides to go to McDonald's, and it's like, oh man. And then I always sarcastically say, oh, it's a nutrient dense superfood, but this actually is. I just wanted to hold on for a moment. I just wanted to make a sort of a note that that it's awesome that we have this manosphere and all of our fellow MGTOW brothers and available to us online. This is coming from a guy. I mean, a lot of you guys have never been without the internet, but I'll tell you, I have. I was like in my 20s before the internet even started becoming anything, right? And it's like, we are so wealthy in a way that we were not back in my day. But I think it's really awesome that we've got all of these guys available to us to give us feedback on things that we might be not getting right, and things that, we can learn from each other. Like, there are blind spots. I mean, I really have blind spots in my life, especially like when it comes to like aesthetics. Like, for example, when I first moved into this house, it had the kitchen had a sink that was like really deep and made of white ceramic and iron, and it was beat to shit and it was ugly, but I didn't understand that, right? And I was like, I thought it was perfectly okay. And then my dad said, "Man, that sink is ugly." And I went and then I looked at the sink, and sure enough, it was ugly. And it was like, whoa, suddenly it turned from irrelevant, just there, to ugly. And wow, it is ugly. So I replaced the sink, and now I have a nicer sink, and it's made of stainless steel, and it's wasn't expensive. Took a little elbow grease, and now I have a nicer sink, and probably increases the property value and all that good stuff. There are other times, like, I have no fashion sense. Sometimes I'm thinking, I mean, there's something a little wrong up there. I just I don't have that sense of aesthetics that a lot of people do. Like, I almost got hit when I was a kid riding my bike to school, right? It was like I was early, well, maybe mid high school. And I was, so I put my mind to, I was saying, what am I going to do about this? So I went to the hardware store and picked out some of this fluorescent paint, and it said fluorescent red orange, and I said, oh man, that, and but judging by the cap, it just practically glows in the dark. Nobody's going to hit me with that. So I bought it, fluorescent red orange, yeah, and then took it home and stripped everything off of the frame and pulled the handlebars and everything and just taped it up, and then spray painted that whole thing, you know, after sanding it, and spray painted it all fluorescent red orange. And man, it practically glowed in the dark. And then put it all back together, and it was awesome. And then for like 6 months, I rode that bike to school every day, fluorescent red orange, and I'd lock it up on the fence and march into school, and everything was great. And then toward the end of the year, like within like a day or two of the end of the year, a guy kind of stopped me kind of diffidently, and he said, you know, as I was walking away from the bike, you know, and he said, you know, I've been wondering why you ride a pink bicycle. And I went, and I went, no, kind of like that. And I knew if I looked at it, it would be pink. And I went, oh, it's pink. Oh, I'm riding a pink bicycle. So then I was, yeah, but I had not been aware of it all that time. Somebody had to tell me, right? People have said that the wallpaper on this in my room here is ugly, and it's quite a job to empty the room out and you know, do everything necessary to you know, repaint, maybe steam the wallpaper off and pull the trim. It's a major production, and I don't mind it, so I'll just live with it, right? Well, anyway, but there might be, from time to time, I get some really good advice here, and it is extremely handy. So I'll take any negative comments that I get, you know, because oftentimes it's a real learning experience, except for the really abusive ones. Then I just click that little block button and never hear from him again. That's what it's there for. And another thing I'd like to go into is Bitcoins. What a surprise. I bet you thought this video would end without my mentioning Bitcoins. I just wanted to construct a little Excel sheet, a little Excel experiment, and you guys can witness it if you'd like. And it's all based on just the growth, the usual growth in the value of Bitcoin over time, right? I mean, some years are better than others, but over the average, Bitcoins tend to double about in value every 10 or 11 months. And for simplicity's sake, let's call it doubling every year. And that's just an incredible, insanely awesome interest rate. 100% interest? Dudes, it is very rare that you will see any kind of return like that unless we're in a really special situation. And crypto's in that really special situation. It is coming into its own, and it's really starting to spread through the society, especially with the Lightning Network and all the infrastructure that's being built on Bitcoin. And it's an amazing thing. And Bitcoin is like the really steady, rock steady one, and compared to all these ICOs and everything, it might not grow very fast, but half of these ICOs, way over half, end up being totally worthless. So, but Bitcoin, it's slow and steady, and it plods along, and it tends to grow about 100% every 10 months. Can't beat that. So that's where I put my surplus income every month. I basically, now that the mortgage is paid off, I have about $2,800 a month surplus. And then I just throw $1,000 a month, every paycheck into Bitcoin. That leaves me $800 to sort of accumulate for unusual expenses. But everything in like the 35% that I generally spend, that includes like going out to breakfast once in a while. And man, it's an amazing thing being a MGTOW in his prime earning years with no mortgage. It's I highly recommend it. Okay, let me set up Excel. Hold on. Okay, pardon the horrible video, but this is what we have to work with. Okay, I typically dump $1,000 a paycheck into Bitcoin, so let's call that 24,000 a year. Whoops. Put it out to about 10 years. Whoops. Okay. $10 years. Okay. Now, let's take, and put that over here. Okay, put a formula in here, equals, let's see, B1, hold on, let's put that in parentheses, B1 times 2 for 100% interest on the previous year, plus A2, and basically after 1 year, I mean, you have like 1 year of accumulating, and then the next year, year 2, you get double the 24,000 plus the other 24,000 that I put in that year works out to 72,000, right? So basically, copy. Let's just grab that, drag the whole thing down there, and that basically repeats the math all the way down. So in the first year, you're just accumulating the first 24,000, but you're getting gains on that, but I haven't allowed for that. Then the second year, you're got another 24,000 in, and you've had gains on average of about 100%. Some years are shittier, some years are awesome, crazy awesome, like 2013, but overall it tends to double every year roughly, or every 10 months. So 24,000, 72,000 the first year, the second year, 168,000 year 3, year 4, 360,000, year 5, 744,000, year 6, 1,512,000, year 7, 3,048,000, year 8, 6 million. 120,000, and 9, 12 million. It just keeps going. But as Bitcoin moves farther and farther into the mainstream, we will probably have a smaller amount of gains per year as the market matures. But compared to all the other main like asset classes, Bitcoin is just insanely tiny. And I think it's like 340 billion or some shit, and it's that's nothing even compared to gold. It's and then of course when you get into stocks and bonds and derivatives and whatnot, that's just a crazy amount of money. We're talking trillions. And on average, Bitcoin is going to be moving out into this economy, and people, when they run into like Bear Stearns events and Lehman Brothers events, a lot of these people who are insiders might have the ability to divert a little bit of money out of the bankruptcy, and then hop hop on a plane to the Cayman Islands or some other uh, hideout country and live on a beach somewhere for the rest of their life on their bitcoins, basically their ill-gotten gains. And it turns money mobile, and it protects it. If you have bitcoins properly stored, those things are more yours than anything else in this world ever can be yours. Um, Nobody can take that away from you if you have it properly stored. They can twist your arm and assuming they know that you have them and they can somehow trace them. But if you take just a few precautions, you can have those things anonymized. Like before I buy bitcoins every paycheck, right? And then after I get about 7 or 8 thousand in my hot wallet, I run it through Shapeshift into Ethereum or some other coin, wait a few days, and then flip it back to Bitcoin, and then dump it into cold storage. And that pretty much anonymizes. Maybe some kind of crazy high level investigation might be able to trace something like that, but man, it's so unlikely. For any normal working class guy, that is sufficient anonymity. So then it goes into cold storage, and it's all yours. Then you can let it sit there 5, 6, 10 years as it's doubling in value every year. And yeah, good times. And a lot of people are saying buy like these little tiny coins like Digibyte and whatnot. And you can certainly get awesome gains from little coins and little projects and ICOs and stuff, but the success rate of these other coins isn't terribly great, and that takes away some of the gains that the good coins that have turned out well tend to pay back. So, man, I am just not that adventurous, and I certainly don't trade. I just buy bitcoins every paycheck, dump them in cold storage, and go on with my life. And now, last year I messed up. I messed up hard. I sold half my bitcoins. Oh, when the big huge panic was occurring and the big blockers were trying to just scare the Bitcoin network and all the Bitcoin community, into accepting that crappy software Bitcoin Unlimited. And we would have fired the core developers on GitHub, and we would have handed control of Bitcoin, the Bitcoin software, over to Roger Ver and Jihad Wu, right? And those people are in it for the money, and they would have maximized their profits. And we didn't understand at the time that the whole reason for that whole mess was ASIC boost. And they pretty much had to do it. When you run a corporation, you got to run it as profitably as possible. But man, was it underhanded. It was a trade secret, and nobody knew about ASIC boost when this was occurring, and they were loading the transactions down on Bitcoin and pushing the fees up to $20 for a transaction. It was just brutal. They were just it was like an invading country just being brutalized and destroyed. And then they were saying, well, Bitcoin Unlimited is going to fix the problem that they were creating. But the Bitcoin community stayed firm, and we didn't accept Bitcoin Unlimited. But I panicked myself. I sold half my Bitcoins and paid off my house. And man, was that a mistake. And I can't blame anybody but myself. And I would be retired right now. I'd be a friggin' Bitcoin millionaire right now if I hadn't panicked. So that's a good lesson. And I'm a lot more firm in my confidence these days. So I just buy and hold. Eventually, time will roll around to the point where value has been brought to my Bitcoins, and I should be, okay. It looks like it's going to be, I mean, it looks like a slam dunk, unlike the way it was back in March of last year. It looked like it was the end of the frickin' line. So, in any case, yeah, don't panic sell. um, well, I guess that's about it. Just wanted to reiterate there are things that I can't see. And sometimes I get good advice from other MGTOWs, and I'm highly grateful for it. For example, I was eating drinking a baking soda solution every night, and I was told to look into it a little bit more, investigate it a little bit more, and I have to admit that that was a mistake. So I stopped doing that. So that's constructive right there. Okay, MGTOWs, that's about all I've got for you, and don't get married.